What's up, everybody? Welcome back. UFC Fight Night Dern versus Ribas 2 is this weekend. And we've had a 4-week break, so we have to be excited about this bullshit. Um, I'm going to go over my predictions, saying what I think's going to happen for each one of the fights. We're going to start with the prelims, end with the main event, and then, we'll go over how the channel went, you know, I guess last year based on predictions and everything. And anyways, we will start with the very first fight of the night. It's going to be Joe Solecki versus Narulo Eliev. I am going to be going with Eliev by round 2 TKO. I think Joe Solecki's a middling fighter that his grappling is just not quite good enough. Hopefully, for his sake, he's improved, but he's taking this fight on short notice, like less than 2 weeks notice. I want to say maybe 2-3 weeks. I don't know. Very short notice. His opponent is a good fighter. I think Joe Solecki may have been able to put up a decent fight had this been a full camp for him, but I don't see him putting up much of a fight in this one. His grappling might slow down Aliev for a round or two, but it's not going to be much. Moving on to Victoria Dudikova versus Fatima Klein. We will be going with favorite here in Fatima Klein by decision. Moving on to the next real fight. It'll be Magomed Gadzhiev versus Bruno Lopez. I've got Magomed Gadzhiev winning this fight. I think he's a very technical fighter. I like how skilled he is. Bruno Lopez packs some serious power, so I do think he's a threat for Gadzhiev in this fight. But, he's just another Contender Series guy. They're both Contender Series guys. But, we've had Magomed actually get a win in the UFC versus he has yet to fight in the UFC. I rate that pretty highly when it comes to these Contender Series guys to actually get a win in the UFC. I don't know. It's genuinely something I've started to notice recently. I think he's the better fighter of the two in general, though. I think he can use grappling if he needs to slow the fight down, with some of the striking. I think that he'll just be the better overall fighter. He should stay at range, pick him apart, though. He may even be able to get a finish, I think, by knockout. If he were to get one, I think it would be a later round one, maybe round 2, round 3. Yeah. Moving on to this fight. Ernesta Carrick, some bullshit, versus Nicole Cagliari. I'm going to be picking, hopefully, her, I guess. Yeah, I'll be picking her. Nah. We will be going with this girl, I guess. Diane Barbosa. I really don't know. They're terrible fighters. It is what it is. Moving on to Preston Parsons versus Jacoby Smith, or Jacob Smith. Jacoby. I assume it's Jacoby. I really haven't heard his name said. Yeah, he's a fucking Contender Series guy. I might have missed his debut. Or not his debut, but his Contender Series fight. I can't remember it right offhand. Preston Parsons is just a bad fighter, though, so I'm going to go with a first-round finish by Smith. I think that most of these guys who come from Contender Series try to get their finishes quickly because they try to impress the boss, and that pays off pretty heavily when you get a finish in the first round. Hopefully this dude goes for that. Just, the card's not very great. They have a very weak card. There are 0 ranked male fighters on this card. Moving on. Thiago Moises versus Trey Ogden. I've got Moises winning this fight. I think that he is the more technical of the two fighters. He's been training with the Fighting Nerds. He's been one of the lesser successful guys training at the Fighting Nerds. But he has been improving. He's getting a little bit better. I think he will decision Trey Ogden in this fight. I think he'll use his grappling and striking. His striking's not even that bad. So, yeah. His grappling should be able to get the job done for the most part, though. Moving on to Marco Tulio versus Ihor Pateria. Yeah. This is just a fight between a guy with the crucifixion of Christ tattooed on his chest versus a 30-year-old up-and-comer from the Contender Series. I really don't know who to pick in this. I think that Ihor Pateria has a real chance to upset this guy. He did miss weight, which, is never a great sign when you're taking your career seriously. So I'm gonna go with Marco Tulio. Also on the scale, Pateria just looked like he did not want to be there. So I'm gonna go with that. Jose Johnson versus Felipe Bunez. Just a bad fight between two bad fighters. Johnson's just the bigger flyweight. Big flyweights, like 6-foot flyweights, are always terrible. They're never good. They are terrible at establishing range and stuff like that. This isn't a guy I rate. I don't rate either of them, honestly, but I just think he's technically the better of the two fighters, but it's not by much. Punahele Soriano versus Uros Medic. I'm going to go with Uros Medic. I think that he is just the much better fighter of the two. And I'm actually going to pick it by decision. I know a lot of people are picking knockout for this fight, but I just think Punahele is a little too tough. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit tough of a fight. Not tough of a fight, but he'll have a hard time getting the knockout. Or I could see it late. Actually, that's what we're going to go with. We're going to go with a second round towards the end knockout. Moving on to Austin Bashi versus C-Rod. I highly rate C-Rod's chances in this fight, and I actually think I think I'm picking him to fraud check Austin Bashi. I just think Bashi's too young to be taking on a guy like C-Rod right now. This is the kind of guy that C-Rod thrives against, too. Like, literally, grapplers are just the kind of guy that just don't give him as many problems. Like, he'll lose the first round, and then he just starts taking over. I'm going to pick C-Rod to win by decision. Yeah. I'm going to pick him by decision. I think that first round's not going to look that great for C-Rod. I think that he's going to struggle pretty early on. But I think he's going to start wearing down Bashi with a little bit of his technique and everything. And mid-second round, you're going to see him kind of completely take over the fight and end up winning. It'll be a good learning experience for Bashi, either way, whether he wins or loses, because C-Rod's a very experienced fighter with dealing with these undefeated guys who are undefeated grapplers. But yeah, I'm picking C-Rod to win by decision, but it'll be a good fight. It should be a good fight. One of the better fights on the night, I think. Moving on to Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov. I am going to be picking Roman Kopylov. And I think he's actually going to get... I actually will be picking him by decision. I was thinking about maybe taking a TKO, but I think he'll just end up getting a decision over Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis is a very experienced fighter, and I can see him giving Kopylov some troubles. Moving on to the Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Cesar Almeida fight. I do not rate Abdul Razak Al Hassan. I think he's a bad fighter that has just been in the UFC just because they need explosive guys who have some knockout power. He somehow couldn't get a win over Cody Brundage. I get it. He did knock him out, but illegally. But that just seems to be a problem with this guy, is he can't win fights. I'm picking him to lose by first round knockout over Cesar Almeida, or under Cesar Almeida. He's going to lose. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Carlston Harris. This is a good fight. This is a competitive fight, not a good fight. I think that they're both just old fucks who barely have anything left. And Carlston Harris has just not been at the same level as Ponzinibbio. So I'm just going to trust that Ponzinibbio is the better fighter. I'll pick him to land like an overhand right or something. Knock out Carlston Harris. Just a terrible fight in general. Moving on to the main event. Amanda Ribas and Mackenzie Dern. There you go. That settles that. Those will be the picks for this weekend. Follow them if you want to, but I don't know. Doesn't feel like a banger of a card, you know, like we're used to getting. Anyways, we'll move on to like how we did overall for the year last year. So we started the channel, I think August 24th. This is when we started this guy, at least. Should be around the same time as when we started the channel. Our picks, we went 84 out of 124. We went out of 168 total picks, we got 108 of them right. We only missed 60. Not bad. So we went with like a 64.3% percentage. So not too terrible of a rating on the year overall. We did pretty good, and hopefully we're going to improve it this year, do even better, make some leaps on the channel, and hopefully everybody has fun doing it and we see some banger ass fights. Anyways, let's just get through this fight card. Next week's the big 311, Saryukian and Makhachev. Can't wait for that fight card. Let's get through this, then we're on to next week, baby.